So it's UMNAGRI and PROPAC.
Voilà.
So Insaf, we start. Huh? Insaf. So we have some 6 minutes late. Where is Insaf? Can you hear me? Yes, I can hear you. I think Insaf, I think she lost her connection. She's not there on the screen. Barry.
Je pense qu'Insaf elle a eu une petite
I
coupure,
think
mais elle va rejoindre.
Insaf has
Juste
lost
une minute,
power.
elle est en train de se
No,
connecter.
she's back.
On peut démarrer.
She's back. She's back.
Vous pouvez démarrer. Là, je vais commencer
You can start.
Donc, c'est à vous.
Now I will start the recording of the session. We can start. Ladies and gentlemen, dear participants, colleagues, hello. UMNAGRI and PROPAC are happy to receive you today as moderators of the 19th session of training organized by PAFO, of course with the support of its partners. UMNAGRI will be represented in this moderation by myself, Mohamed Bouanani, with my friend and colleague, Nurdenin Erkadi. All of us are from the Moroccan Farmers Organization, and Mike will represent PROPAC. As the moderator, I thank PAF and its partners for the efforts they have put in place so that they can enable us to follow these training sessions. We also thank all the participants who were able to find the time this morning, and we ask them to participate actively so that we can enrich the exchanges here and to share experiences on the theme that we're going to talk about, which is the Sustainable Development Goals for Africa. It is not a new theme, but it was given to us on 2015 during the General Assembly of the UN, and they fixed these 17 objectives with the aim of making our planet equality, justice, and to deal with the challenges like climate change. The objective of our session today is to determine the challenges, the solutions, and the opportunities that are offered by these SDGs to agriculture, and to know how agriculture can play or how agriculture can contribute in achieving these objectives, and how we can use these objectives in the elaboration of action plans for our farm organizations in Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, I ask you present yourselves, introduce yourselves by opening your cameras when I mention the name of your organization. So if I mention the organization, please open your cameras. We start with SACAO. Members of SACAO, open your camera so that we can see you. Yeah, let's wait for them to hear the translation. So, members of SACAO, open your cameras.
Donc, j'appelle les membres de
Members of EAFF, open your camera so that we can see you. EAFF.
Membres de l'EAF, s'il vous plaît. Ouvrez vos caméras.
Open your cameras.
Oui, il y a Judith.
Donc,
Judith is there.
les membres du ROPA.
We go to members of ROPA. ROPA. Members of ROPA. Okay. And we go to members of PROPAC. PROPAC members? Is it that you can't hear me or what's happening? PROPAC? No, no, we can hear you. We can hear you very well. I'm looking for members of PROPAC. Open your cameras, please. No, no one. I can't see anyone. No, UMNAGRI now. Members of UMNAGRI. Colleagues from UMNAGRI, please open your cameras. So I can see Madam Rim, Kadi, and Raja. Where is Raja? And these are the colleagues from UMNAGRI. Okay. Greetings. Now, without forgetting the staff from our continent organization, PAFO, Zuberi, and Madam Insaf. They're there. The representatives of the partners are not here with us, unfortunately. Okay. If you, before I give the floor to Madam Rim and to Dr. Baba Femu is going to speak on behalf of PAFO to open the session. I remind you the rules participating in this session. So you have to manage the mics and the cameras. When you want to be given the floor, please raise your hand. If you have any observations to make, do not hesitate to write it on the chat. Please note that there is a simultaneous translation. You can access it by clicking on the globe icon at the bottom of your screen. Now we give the floor to Madam Rim for the official opening of this session. Madam Rim, you have the floor. Thank you, Mohammed. Greetings, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this session, which is dedicated to the SDGs. We are united here. We are together here to discuss and to explore the means that we can use so that all of us can contribute to have a more sustainable future, more equitable future. The SDGs, which were adopted by the UN in 2015, present an ambitious plan for eradicating poverty, protecting the planet, and guarantee prosperity for all of us by the year 2030. Among the 17 objectives, they are interconnected. They require collective action and concerted effort. During this workshop, we will have the opportunity to hear each other as the leadership or members or managers of farm organizations in Africa to share knowledge, experiences, and to participate in discussions that are enriching and collaborate on innovative solutions. Your presence and your commitment are essential for making us progress and with these objectives that we inspire ourselves with the concrete actions from our respective communities. So I encourage you to participate actively, to ask questions, and to share your ideas. Together, we can make a difference, an important difference to contribute also to the development of a better African continent for the current and future generations. Thank you, everyone, for your presence and your commitment. Thank you to PAFO and its partners for all the efforts that have been invested in this. I wish you a productive session and inspiring session. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Rim. Thanks a lot. I remind you that Madam Rim is the CEO of UMNAGRI. I thank you very much for these opening remarks, which are quite encouraging. Thank you, Mohammed. Now, before starting the first presentation on the SDGs by our colleague. I will remind you the rest of the program that you're going to follow today. So we'll start with the presentation by Berkadi, which is going to take from 12:45 to 13:05. Is going to tell us about the objectives, and then we'll have a discussion session, which will be moderated by our friend Mike Katangana. After that, we'll have two other presentations. One will be presented by myself on the cases of implementation of the SDGs by countries. I'll talk about the Morocco experience, and someone will present the one for Cameroon, and then we'll have group work. We'll have two groups, one French speaking and one English speaking. The session will be moderated by Mr. Berkadi, and after that we'll go straight into the presentation of the results from the discussions in the groups, and to finish about 13:45 we'll have the presentation of the summary, and the closing remarks will be done by the president or the CEO of the closing session. Without further waiting, we give now floor to Mr. Berekadi, who's going to give us a presentation on SDGs in Africa. Thank you, Mr. Buanani. Hello, everyone, all the participants. And to AFO, UMNAGRI, and all the partners from the other networks. Can you see my screen? Yes, we can see it very well. So now I'm going to talk about the definition of the SDGs, and the relationship that exists between them and agriculture in Africa, because that is our interest, and which are the challenges that we need to deal with for the future. I introduce myself. My name is Nureddin Berekadi. I'm a agronomist. I'm a member of UMA and UMNAGRI, and my areas of interest is sustainable agriculture and livestock keeping. Now, the plan of the outline of my presentation, we'll talk about the introduction of SDGs. We ask ourselves, what is the sustainable development? And also we talk about the global objectives when you talk about sustainable development. And this is the basis, the genesis of the SDGs. We also talk about the SDGs themselves, which were put in place from 2015, and then we have the 17 SDGs, which are the Sustainable Development Goals, and then we talk about the priorities for FAO for agriculture in Africa through the SDGs, the application of these SDGs in African agriculture, and then we'll also talk about challenges and opportunities for agriculture in Africa. Then we go to impact of climate change, demographics, and politics and economic politics. We also talk about the relevant SDGs, the ones that are relevant for agriculture in Africa, and then we'll have perspectives and strategies for the future. Now, what is sustainable development? So these are the objectives that we have. It is the decisions that improve living conditions from the present without endangering resources for the future generations. It's also, we encourage solidarity in acting and the respect of environment. We must have important changes to transform our world to have a society that is more just, and to ensure that this sustainable development is there, we must work together. The leaders must commit to this change, but everyone must be able to give their opinion on the topics that affect the children, the youth, and have the world that we would want to have for the future generations. Everyone must also carry out positive actions in their own lives especially by respecting the environment. Now, on the 25th of September 2015, as a side meeting during the General Assembly 193, the leaders of the planet agreed on the 17th global objectives that we need to attain before 2030. These objectives, these SDGs are based on the objectives of the millennium, which had been defined in 2002, in the year 2000, and were in the declaration that was called the Declaration of the Millennium. And there were 10 objectives. There were 8 objectives. And the intention was to achieve them before 2015, and then they were put in place for 15 years. 2000 to 2015. And during that assembly, it was observed that many enormous progress had been observed. But despite these efforts, poverty was still affecting a lot of people on the planet. So this development program after 2015, that's 2015 to 2030, for the 15 years, after 2015 are more ambitious and more detailed than the first ones. And we have determined now 17 SDGs, which have 169 targets to be achieved in 15 years. So that is the Agenda 2030 for the SDGs, and they are presented like these with the symbols that we're going to see now, each one of them. These ones are in English. So which are the 17, the SDGs? We start with the first one. The first one is poverty eradication, fighting hunger, action on health, quality education, to ensure that everyone has access to education, and also to promote the possibility of learning education of good quality and to learn during the entire lifetime, and to deal with the challenges that we meet. There's also equality of gender, access to water, renewable energy, guarantee access to all these energy resources, renewable energy. The eighth objective is access to employment. It is to promote economic growth that is sustainable. The ninth objective is innovation and infrastructure. This one is to enable the small scale of enterprises to get into activities that respect the environment. There's also action on equality. The 11th one is to have sustainable communities, to create cities, transport, which are open to everyone, and they are in a sustainable manner. We also have responsible consumption and avoid wastage and waste management. Is also fight against climate change, and this objective came in 2013 because that's where we felt that the negative effects of climate change had been observed. 14th objective is the protection of fauna and flora, and that is on Earth and in the oceans. And the 16th is justice and peace, and 17th is to develop partnership between countries, between continents, for these objectives. Now let's look at the priorities by FAO for agriculture in Africa, because FAO is there to help us to mobilize a bit countries and governments to implement these objectives. Now, which are the main areas for achieving these SDGs in Africa? The first thing is food security and nutritional security, to ensure that there is food security. We have climate resilience, to promote agricultural practices that resist to impacts of climate change, sustainable management of natural resources, to encourage responsible use of land and water, and also to support small-scale farmers and to ensure that they can contribute to sustainable development. There's also the participation of the role of the SDGs in agriculture. The first thing is to see how to involve them in dealing with the climate, use of water, and this way we have the interest of conservation agriculture. There's also support to the different agricultural value chains to improve income for farmers and to reduce poverty. And finally, the use of agricultural technologies to increase efficiency, reduce wastage and losses so that we can deal with hunger. So now, which are the challenges that Africa is encountering and the opportunities to deal with these challenges? The first thing among the challenges, we must develop subsistence agriculture so that we can have these nutrition for the consumption of the rural populations especially. Of course, among the challenges, there's a question of modern technologies, and we must go into the use of these technologies. There's also the fight against soil degradation and the proper use of water. We also need to develop resilience in dealing with the climate issues. Now, the opportunities that we have within our continent, we have a population that is growing, and it requires a higher consumption of food. That's an opportunity that we can supply these populations. There's also the need to have sustainable agriculture and agroecology. There's also the expansion of infrastructure and technological innovations. Already we are seeing for the construction of transport infrastructure, the use of technology, etc. Now, the impact of climate change on population and economic policy. So we are seeing that climate change, we can see its impact through droughts, which are recurrent. We also have countries where they are going through with challenges of flooding. There is extreme events. Sometimes you have very high temperatures. And also we have periods of extreme cold. We also have the rapid growth in population, and this is putting pressure on the resources, which we must deal with so that we can produce in a more sustainable way. So we also have economic policies, and this is where we see the importance of supporting farmers, especially by giving subsidies to farmers, access to markets, and also give them subsidies. Now we're going to talk about the SDGs that are relevant for agriculture. We start with the first one that talks about poverty. So here we're talking about the reduction of poverty and the improving the agriculture, subsistence agriculture. So we have programs in microfinance that are close to small-scale farmers. There's also support to agricultural cooperatives so that they can better produce in collectively. Now let's look at the second objective. It's zero hunger. The intention here to eliminate hunger before 2030. And here we have main initiatives. That is the first one, is improve agricultural value chains and diversification of agricultural practices, and also resilience for farmers, given that we are encountering climate change. Now, the 12th objective is responsible consumption and production. So we encourage sustainable agricultural practices and also reduce losses, work against wastage. That's why we talk of the circular economy, and also impact on the environment. Objective number 13, the goal 13, this is the promotion of resilient practices in terms of climate. We also have the main initiatives here is carrying out smart agriculture, reforestation, and conservation of soil and water. Now, the 15th goal, this is the protection and restoration of land ecosystems. And the main initiatives here, we have conservation agriculture, conservation of biodiversity, fighting against deforestation, and rehabilitation of land. Now, the perspectives for future and recommendations. The first one is to build capacities of farmers. And this means that to make sure that farmers are able to carry out advocacy within their professional organizations in terms of policies. There's also we increase investments in sustainable agriculture. There's also integration of SDGs in the national policies, and that's where we talk about the implementation of the different strategies. We'll see the case of Morocco with our colleague here, Mr. Buanani, and then we'll see the case of Cameroon, how they have implemented these SDGs in the countries. Is also the role of governments, the private sector, and local communities in now making use of these SDGs. Now, which are the strategies for the future that we can put in place? The first one is to encourage public and private partnerships. This is an important aspect within the countries, so that the national level and also at the local level, and also these partnerships, we can have them at the for the networks, the regional networks, and also for the continent. There's also encouraging technological innovation and digital agriculture. There's also the strengthen the local networks for the food production. Now, for the conclusion, the implementation of SDGs in Africa, it is crucial for developing agriculture in the continent. Professional organizations within the continent, like the case of our PAFO, the regional networks, the members of the regional networks, and the national and local organizations can play an important role in the promotion of these SDGs. They can make use of advocacy whenever the opportunity presents itself. We finish in conclusion by saying that there's the need to have continuous collaboration between all the stakeholders. Thank you for your attention and for your commitment, which is desirable for the development of our continent and for respecting its environment. Thank you. I think Mike is now going to take over the moderation. Okay. Greetings, Redin and Mohammed. Thank you for the presentation that you just finished. It's a detailed presentation on the SDGs and the impact on agriculture in Africa. It enables us to explore the cases of sustainable development, the program for development after 2015. He also talked about the 17th SDGs, the priorities for FAO, for agriculture in Africa. Now, it's up to us now to get into the depth of this topic by discussions, so that we can see how we can now apply these SDGs in agriculture in Africa, the challenges, the opportunities, and even the impact of climate change on the population and on the policies. So we have identified the SDGs that are relevant for agriculture in Africa. We have also seen the perspectives for the future and the recommendations meaning that we see how we can help to develop agriculture in Africa. So I want to remind the different participants to be active, because your contribution is going to be important to enrich these discussions and to contribute to sustainable solutions for the continent. So I give the floor to anyone who wants to speak. If there's a participant who would want to say something, please raise your hand and then we give you the floor. Thank you. Yeah, we can hear you. You can also ask questions on the chat. Do you have any questions? No questions? As we wait for reactions, for the presentation of Regine.
So the SDGs are 17 done by the UN in order to protect the planet and also to guarantee the prosperity by 2030. So do we have anybody? Is there anyone who would like to take the floor? So is there anyone who would like to take the floor after the presentation by Nuruddin? And so we can take a few minutes for the questions, and after that, we can move on to the next presentation. And so the next presentation is on the implementation of the SDGs in Morocco. And this is a specific case of Morocco and Cameroon. And so the Morocco presentation is going to be done by Mr. Buanani. So I'm sorry, I said madam. And the one from Cameroon will be done by Akushi, who is in charge of the program. And so we hope to get the presentations. So I had raised my hand, Mike, and also Judith has raised her hand. Thank you. So thank you, Mike, and thank you for giving me the floor. I would like to also thank Mr. Nuruddin Bekani for the presentation on the topic, that is the SDGs, and especially the SDG. And so what he has said is important because for innovative practices, we need to think of that. We did not hear about agroecology, because this helps us to protect the ecosystems. And so I don't know, maybe if I got it, but I did not hear about that. And so it is important that we do this agriculture, and so that we can cultivate in the long term. Thank you very much. And maybe I can react later. So thank you, Don Celeste, for your questions. So Don Celeste has talked about the importance of agroecology practices within the SDGs, so that we can have sustainable agriculture, the importance of practicing agroecology. And I think that we have organized 2 events in ProPac and the family agriculture. Yes, and also for the youth in agriculture. And so these are activities that I would say concretely is linked to the SDGs. And so do we have any other reaction to the presentation?
I have a reaction to the presentation. Yeah, I appreciate the presentation done by UMNAGRI, and they identified the development goals. I wanted to add something on that SDG number 3 could be applicable in the agricultural sector. Yeah, because agriculture contributes to the health of our communities, particularly when it comes now to post-harvest handling. There's a lot of post-handling issues that emerge, such as the impact of aflatoxins, and this should be addressed within the agricultural sector so that the farmers and also the processors are able to identify the aflatoxins and to remove them and to ensure the processing does not add anything that would hinder the health of our communities. That is number one. The other contribution is that the sector, as my forerunner has mentioned, engages the family farming. And with family farming, that is talking about gender equality, SDG number 5. And therefore, SDG number 5 would be quite applicable in as far as agriculture sector is concerned. So that those who offer services within the sector, it's good to identify the roles of each gender so that there is equal commensurate benefit to both genders, like women and youth and even men. How do they benefit from the sector? Finally, on SDG number 17, we cannot work in isolation with the stakeholders within the various value chains in the agricultural sector. And that provides the opportunity of partnerships development within the different value chains so that each and every contributor to agriculture is recognized and given the room to play their role so that we enhance the benefit of going to agriculture and the benefit and the strength that we achieve through partnerships. Thank you very much. I submit.
So thank you very much, Judith, for your contribution. And so Judith has talked about the SDG number 3, which ensures the promotion of the well-being of everybody of all ages, that is the vegetable and also plant and human health. And there's also the SDG number 5, which seeks to achieve gender equality, including the women and the girls. And so this is important for sustainable development in Africa and the reduction of inequalities. She also talked about SDG number 17 in Africa. This SDG strengthens partnership for sustainable development. And so this is also important, especially for resources and also the technology knowledge, so that we can achieve this particular SDG, and especially capacity building, cooperation. And so there's also monitoring and evaluation, among other things. And so she concluded that it is important to identify the different categories and also recognize their roles in the implementation. Okay, do we have any other person who'd like to react? I could also react on this issue, Mike, if if we don't have any other question, do we still have other questions? Yes, no? And so I would like to thank the people who have just talked because they have reacted on these SDGs. And this means that we are conscious, and this reflects our conscience and also the importance and the implementation of the SDGs and for the development of agroecology and also organic agriculture, because these are parts of sustainable agriculture and agriculture, yes, family agriculture. And so concerning, yes, when you talk about the SDG that talks about gender equality, that is very important. And all the organization, that is FAO, the World Health Organization, this is an objective that is also at their level, at their strategy. And so we have seen these through FAO. And so for the 17th SDG, it is an objective that is based on ourselves because it comes back to us within our policies, our organizations, and all that. And so I would like to thank very much the people who have given their comments and their questions. And I hope that I have been able to answer these questions. Thank you very much, Mike. Yes, merci. Thank you also. And so we have noted the contributions by each and every one of us. I would like to ask once more if there is anyone who would like to ask a question or give a comment. If not, we can continue to the next point, which is on the implementation of the SDGs by countries. And so we have the Morocco case and the other case of Cameroon. So if we do not have other questions, other comments, yes, we do not have anything else. I'm going to give the floor to Mr. Bwanani for the presentation on Morocco, that is for the specific case of the SDGs. And so, Mr. Bwanani, the floor is yours. So thank you very much, Mr. Michael, for having corrected. You had said Madam to Mr. So it is Muhammad Bwanani. I am the director of a national society which is producing seeds, and we are members of UMA, and UMA is a member of UMNAGRI. So I'm very happy to take the floor this time in order to present and talk to you about an experience in Morocco in the implementation of these SDGs. And so through the strategy that has been adopted by our country in this sector from 2008. And so the plan, the presentation is in 3 parts. The first part is going to be based on the place of agriculture in the Morocco economy. And the second part, and that is in detail, the strategy for the Green Morocco plan. And so this will be on objectives and the measures that have been taken and are taken, and what is important is what has been learned from this plan. And the third part, and briefly, is the strategy for green generation, which started in 2020, which goes up to 2030. And so we are going to see the results after 2030 if we continue working as planned. And so So concerning the place of agriculture in the Moroccan economy, agriculture plays an important role in the economy, and it represents, contributes 17% to the national GDP and employs almost 40% of the active population of the country. And so 80% of the population are found in the rural areas. And so the agriculture is diversified. We have several value chains. We have the cereals, fruits, vegetables, olives, and all that. And so it plays an important role in food security, and also another role that is important in commercial terms, with revenues coming from exportation of these products. And however, this agriculture is faced with a lot of challenges. And among these challenges, we have the climatic conditions. There is also instability and the volatility in world markets for products, and especially fossil energy. There is also the mutations that are going on, and also the issue of quality and traceability of products. And so in order to fight against this, the country has to put in place strategies. And they started with the Green Morocco Plan in 2008, and the strategy that from 2020 to 2030, that is the Green Generation Strategy. The objective is to modernize the sector, improve productivity, eradicate poverty, inequality, and injustice. And so when you talk about inequality and injustice, it is actually the objective is to overcome these problems of inequality and injustice, and also having inclusion of youth and women. And so the other objective is to have resilience, agriculture that is resilient given this climate change, and also promote practices, agricultural practices that are sustainable. And so the Green Morocco Plan is an agricultural strategy which was launched in 2008, which has the objective of transforming the agricultural sector as an engine to socio-economic development of the country. And so for the plan, it is based on two pillars. We have the first pillar, which is based on modern agriculture with high value addition. And so they use the value chain approach. And so this from the beginning to the end. And also the development of agribusiness in order to add value to products that initially were exported as raw materials. The second part is a solid agriculture for small-scale farmers. And so trees is through reconversion and intensification. Those are projects, and also local development and social inclusion. And so what are the main objectives? I have already talked about that. I think that these objectives are for the plan. And so we need adopt aggregation as a model for agriculture, and also inclusivity, and promote private investments, and also use contracts under private-public partnership, and make sustainable all that is done in development, and also prepare the sectorial framework. And so this is a policy for managing water, and also land policy, and support. There's also support, monitoring and evaluation. There is a research for markets and development. And so several measures have been undertaken in order to concretize this. And so I would cite the regulatory measures. There is development of 4,500 texts and also 20 laws. And so we have those for agricultural and also aggregation. And so these are models for development. We also have institutional measures. The government has created several offices and agencies in order to support these mutation or change of transformation of agriculture. So there was a creation of National Office for Food Security and for food security, so that they can control the quality of food. There was also the creation of the National Office for the for the technical or advisory issues of the agriculture, and also the other one for promoting investments, private investments in agricultural sector, and this is under the PPP. There was also a creation of an, and so this comes in the issue of inclusion. This means all the participants in agriculture are developed, and so we do not leave anyone outside, even from areas that are marginalized. We have the creation of these ANDZOA, and so there also the creation and recognition of 19 professional organizations, and this is according to the value chains. And there was also signing of 19 contracts between the government and the others. And so for this, we have had an impact at the macroeconomic level, and so the social sustainability, and there is also the dynamic of inclusion of middle and small scale farming. And so for the macroeconomic impacts, so we have had doubling of the GDP from agriculture, which went from 65, okay, that doubled towards 125. That is million of dirhams in 2018. We also had a multiplication by 2.4 of exports, agricultural exports, and so tomatoes by 3, red fruits by 18, and arga also by 5. We also had investments that were generated from the private sector, which was 63 million dirham, and so this led to that increase. And so the social impacts, there was the creation of 50 million daily worker that was created. And I think that the number of jobs within the agricultural sector increased by 50,000. And so the number of days, work days, also had an increase by 30%. That is from 108 days to 139 days in 2018. And so this has allowed the sector to generate more revenue. And so for the main crops, we had an increase by 50% for cereals. It was from 60 to 70% for fruits and vegetables. We actually moved up to 100% for meat and milk. We went up to 100%. And so for sugar, we got to 47%. And so the impact on sustainability. For sustainability, we had we had 2 billion cubic meters of water. And so this is the result from different programs and different techniques for irrigation that were used. And so for the area equipped by drip irrigation, this was multiplied by 3.7. And so currently we have actually gotten up to 450,000 hectares. And so we are at 450 hectares. And as you know, planting trees is important for resilience. And also, apart from that, it helps in reducing greenhouse gases. And for the impact on inclusion on small and middle level agriculture, we have 2.7 million beneficiaries, and this is through the management of the agricultural water, and there is also subsidies for agriculture, and also enlarging the area of land under production and other techniques. There was also a subsidy on animal health, and there was also a development of agriculture, and also the improvement and structuring of agriculture. And so we also had the modernization of slaughterhouses, which added a value to various agricultural products. And so concerning the green generation, which started from 2020 and which will be achieved in 2030, this was based on the Green Morocco plan, with the objective of putting in place a model for sustainable agriculture, which focuses on youth and job creation in agricultural sector. And so there was the priority of the human, and the second one is the sustainability of agricultural development. And so for the element, the human element, there is a creation of the middle class, and also the young agripreneurs, and also a new generation of farmer organizations, and also a mechanism for support. And so for the aspect of sustainability, this has the continuation of consolidating the agricultural value chains, and also the modern the distribution chains are modernized and are more efficient, and also focused on quality, that is the control of quality, innovation, and this is in agriculture. And this also has continuing with resilient agriculture. And so for the generation of the middle class, this has increased from 350 to 400 households, and there's also an increase on the land by that under agriculture to 2.5 million hectares. And there's also the social protection of 3.3 million farmers who benefit from this protection, and also the reduction of the gap between SMAG and SMIG, that is the minimum salary that is guaranteed. And in order to encourage workers in agriculture to remain in their land and not to move towards towns, to migrate. And so this is possible through the improvement of their revenue. And so the new generation of the young agripreneurs, and here, this is a result of support of these youth, which offers opportunities for generating income by giving land, that is 1 million hectares of land, and also helping them to implement their projects, and also helping these youth to get a training on the services, that is agricultural services, that they could implement in their countries, in their localities.
Is a continuation of what has been done. Our plan is to increase the rate of bringing these organizations together by 25% and giving them the capacity to manage their affairs, and also to give them part of the public budget to the organization. That's 30%. For the new generation of organizations in agriculture, we put in place mechanisms to support them, and also to avail at least 5,000 agricultural advisors using the National Agricultural Reform Office, so that we can also have private agricultural extension officers to also be involved in supporting these young agricultural farmers, and also to ensure that we link them to agricultural digital services, and also to increase from 350 to 400,000 hectares these agriculture. For the sustainability of agriculture, development of agriculture, we have to consolidate the different agricultural subsectors. We also have an interest in developing the distribution chains. We also work on quality controls. And so I now start with the consolidation of agricultural subsectors. We have to increase funding from 200 to 250 million dirhams. We also have, we multiply production by 1.5 at least, and also the exportation. We export more we pass from 50 million to 60,000 million, 60 million dirhams exportation, and also to give value to at least 70% of agricultural product we value add. We also have the emergence of new subsectors with the potential. There are several subsectors with the potential, the future, but these are the ones that are resilient to climate change. We have these new agricultural products that can be produced and that can resist climate change. For the distribution chain, we reform markets. The markets that need modernizing, we reform the markets. What we call the market, the weekly markets. and also to strengthen the distribution channel. We also have our strategy also thinks about the improvement of the quality of products to take into consideration technologies that consumers want to see. We must also have the use of new varieties that are written in the official catalog. And these are the new varieties which are resilient and resistant, especially with the reduced water levels. We also have an investment in research and development, which we're going to double in terms of efforts. We also have the modernization of slaughterhouses. We also have effective control, quality control, which we're going also to double in terms of effort. There is also, we identify the main value chains for support for the eco-efficient, resilient agriculture using proper energy and using the proper management of water. Going to work on new energies, renewable energies, solar energy, biomass energy. Going to work on, we ensure that we use techniques that conserve soil, for preserve soil, for example, the planting of cereals. I think that is the end of my presentation. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for the presentation. Just like Mohamed was presenting with the case of Morocco, and in terms of the SDGs for agriculture. So agriculture is very important for the national economy of Morocco. It plays a very important role and contributes to the GDP of the country, and also to the development of the rural setting through the Green Morocco plan, which has been able to help them increase productivity and income for farmers. Contribute also in promoting sustainable agriculture and also to protect the environment. Morocco has also put in place measures introducing new technologies for agricultural sector, and also finance techniques that help farmers also. That is also the development for the rural infrastructure. And one of the classes that we've seen from these agriculture is that there is increase in export, and also the terms of climate change. All these strategies are meant to consolidate what has been achieved so far for agriculture in Morocco, by putting the accent, the emphasis on the youth resilient agriculture. So once again, I thank Mohamed, and I suggest that we go to the presentation from Senokam, and for this one, they can ask questions. The different presenters. So I'm requesting you to note your questions, and after the presentation by Cameroon Senokam, now we can ask all the questions together. You can ask the questions now. I'll give the floor to the presenter from Senokam. This, I think it's Francis, so that they can present about the SDGs in agriculture in Cameroon. Thank you, Francis. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I hope that everyone can hear me. Yes, we can hear you very well. Thank you. So, my name is Francis. As the moderator has just said, I'm a resource person at SINOCAM, the National Union for Farmers in Cameroon. Thank you for the honor that has been given to me to present contribution of SINOCAM in terms of the SDGs. For the summary of my presentation, we will present to you what the organization is about, and also we'll also see the link between the SINOCAM, our organization, and the SDGs, and then we see some actions that have been carried out by our organization so as to achieve these goals for sustainable development. After saying that, please, if you can you have the presentation mode? Yes, like that. Okay. Is it okay, everyone? Yes, it's okay. Continue. So, I was saying, SINOCAM is the National Union of Farm Organizations in Cameroon. So it is an organization that is legally recognized in Cameroon with we ran on the law 90-053 of 1990. We are an umbrella organization for farmers in Cameroon, which was created in 2000 through the effort of the farmer leadership in Cameroon. So we have a legal status since June 2001, and our mission, we have the first mission is to represent farm organizations, to ensure their involvement in the implementation and to carry out the monitoring and evaluation of policies affecting agriculture, also encourage dialogue and negotiations between farm organizations, work with donor organizations, mobilize internal resources, carry out advocacy and lobby in terms of defending interests of farmers, build capacities of organizations and members, and also ensure information, education, communication for members. As members, SINOCAM, we have about 57,000 individual members, and 53.56 are women, and 32.7 are youth, and we have more than 9,000 family agriculture families involved, and we have farmer groups, at least more than 200 farmer groups, which work in different sectors. The majority of us members are in the rural settings, and we have women and youth. So just an idea to help you get know what SINOCAM is. Now, for the relationship that exists between SINOCAM and the SDGs, is that the first thing is our vision, which is based on the SDGs, and with our direct and indirect partnerships with the relationship with the government of Cameroon, institutions, organizations at national, regional, continental, and global levels. The vision of the SINOCAM is to support agriculture. That is a family agriculture to ensure food security and have food sovereignty and nutritional sovereignty, ensure that we have sustainable management of natural resources, conserve environment biodiversity, and also help the rural populations and other farmers. As partners, we have several partnerships, direct and indirect, through participation in programs and projects initiated and financed by the government. We have regional organizations like CESC, CEMAC, regional organizations for farmers, especially PROPAC, the Central African Platform for Farmer Organizations, AFO. We have donors at the national, international level with the UN, AU, FAO, IFAD, European Union, the African Development Bank, etc. And all of them are participating in the implementation of the 17 SDGs, which were adopted by the UN General Assembly, and they are expected to be attained before 2030. Can you hear me? Yes, we can hear you very well. We can hear you. You can hear me very well. Okay, please continue. Now I want to present some actions that we have carried out, some activities for the relating to the SDGs. For the first SDG, and which I remind you is to the poverty eradication in all its forms. I was saying that for this first objective, eradicating poverty everywhere on the planet, through our partnerships with the government in the programs and the projects, for example, AFOP for training the youth, and also the project that we have on agricultural value chains, and with the different partnerships that we have with the farmer organization like PAFO, PROPAC, I mentioned that earlier, and other technical partners and financial partners like IFAD in the program, like the F4ACP. We continue to work in the creation of decent employment for the women and youth in the rural settings by forming agribusiness organizations and also technical training and support for socioeconomic insertion. We also carry out advocacy for social protection of small-scale farmers by fighting for their recognition of agriculture as a profession. We also carry out advocacy for dealing with the level, the means of life for the rural populations and for the minorities. For the second SDG, which is about eradication of hunger, we also ensure food security, improve nutrition, and promote sustainable agriculture. So the SINOPCAM works to ensure that we have food sovereignty in Cameroon, and carrying out certain activities like sensitization campaigns, information campaigns, education on best agricultural practices, and agribusiness enterprises. We also have trainings for small-scale farmers so that they can increase productivity and the competitivity of their agricultural products. We carry out activities in advocacy for women to have access to land, to equipment, to production infrastructure, and to market the agricultural products. So here we have a partners that we work with. Is also we structure agropastoral sectors, build the capacities of farmers here, and actually our organization is working on a project that the ministry which is in charge of agriculture in Cameroon, we are implementing it together for the third SDGs, to ensure that people live in good health and to promote well-being of everyone at every age. So the main activity we have here, the different partnerships, is dealing with the consequences of the COVID-19, and also to carry out sensitization campaigns, giving information, education and also ensuring that people have protection against infections. For the fourth objective, that's having access for everyone to have access to education of good quality, have equality, and promote possibilities for learning during one's life. So we have been working with the aim of increasing the level of reducing illiteracy within the country. So can promote and support people in the rural sector by creating centers for educating the population. And actually, we have a center for learning in Intui, in the central region, and also in the eastern region. For the fifth objective, gender equality and empowering women, the approach here is to operationalize strategies and actions through activities like research in equality between women and men in the different economic areas and employment. We also work in ensuring participation of women and representation of women, especially in where decision making is happening. We also carry out ensure that there is access of girls and boys and women and men to education and to information and training. And also we put in place activities to empower women. For the sixth objective, ensuring access to water and sanitation, we will say that SINOPCAM here has been acting in the region, in the central region, within the district of Mefu, Afamba, to improve the access of the rural populations to water. And so we have at least in this rural setting that people can have access to drinking water. And we also worked after the COVID-19 pandemic to ensure that the populations are able to take measures such as washing hands and also have access to running water, which is not always easy for rural populations, to ensure that they have tap water. Actually, so it is one of the main projects that the government of Cameroon is trying to put in place, and also the WHO. The seventh SDG is to ensure access to reliable energy. So for us, the access to energy in the rural settings is one of the conditions for development for the agricultural sectors and value chains in Cameroon, so that we can create sustainable employment. So SINOPCAM has carried out advocacy for the rural electrification with the government of Cameroon. We're also working on the promotion of the use of renewable energy, which is accessible in the rural settings, because we have practical trainings and also the construction of solar power installations that can be used by small-scale farmers. For the eighth SDG, to promote agricultural growth, we have a plan for production and decent work for everyone. So SINOPCAM contributes actively to achieve these objectives through activities which are specialized in building technical capacities and entrepreneurships with the SHASAD, which is the action that supports farmers for the sustainable development. Also support the socio-professional integration of farmers and also to participate in the different agricultural sectors in Cameroon. We also carry out this rural training center for professionals and entrepreneurs who are in agricultural livestock keeping within the rural settings, and this contributes to the creation of SMEs, which offer to the youth and women decent employment through programs like AFOP PEA Youth, etc., which we're carrying out with the government of Cameroon and through other initiatives that have been put in place by SNOP. For the 9th objective, put in place a sustainable infrastructure to promote industrialization, sustainable and encourage innovation. For this objective, SNOP works in the advocacy with the government to invest more in infrastructure so that we can boost in a sustainable manner growth in the rural settings. So here we need to have infrastructure for energy, transport, market, IT, posts and services, and also storage of cereals and other agro-pastoral products. For the 10th objectives for reducing inequalities between countries, so SNOP targets these inequalities by ensuring that we carry out advocacy for recognition of agriculture as a profession, and also the importance of insurance for the sector, access for everyone to the factors of production, and to have control, access to land for women and youth, and also to encourage family agriculture for everyone, and especially for women and the youth, so that we can encourage their social inclusion and also economic and political inclusion. For the 11th SDG, that is trying to ensure that cities and other living areas for men, for people, are sustainable. We try to ensure that there's access to local materials for sustainable construction, like briquettes. We also talk about improvement of rural settlements, and we encourage the use of these bricks that are made out with the soil for construction. We also work on encouraging rural urban migration by the youth by encouraging them to create SMEs within the rural settings. For the 12th, the SDG, which is about consumption and sustainable production. Can't hear well. Can't hear him. Sorry, we can't hear you. We can't hear you. Like, for example, for fruits and vegetables, on top of the advocacy that we carry out with the government of Cameroon, so that we can have a better infrastructure for the rural settings, so that we can also market agricultural products. SNOP promotes the use of renewable energy through technology transfer and agroecological techniques, and also using local materials that are easily accessible to farmers. For the 13th goal, that is fighting against climate change and its consequences. So by working with the NORAD and the PROPAC, we carried out a study on impact of climate change on family agriculture in general, mostly on rural women. And with this study, we were able to carry out, we were able to identify the best practices that can be put in place to mitigate against the climate change. SNOP also promotes agroecology, which also bases itself on best practices that take into consideration the climate change. Using our communication networks, we work on a weekly basis with our members in the 10 regions of the country. We share with them information on weather. So I think these are some of the actions that you've carried out in Cameroon in terms of the the goals, you'll see other actions, and in the presentation that will be sent to you later after this session. I thank you. I hope I didn't take too much time. Thank you, Francis, for having been long. We have the feeling that Sinop come and Morocco, you have a lot of activities related to the SDGs. I think we have advocacy, lobby building capacities with the centers that you are putting up in place, management of rural settings. You have talked about the activities in conserving biodiversity. You've mentioned about the campaigns that you have organized, which have technical and financial support from AFSA as an organization. You have also spoken about women rights for women, facilitating access to land for the youth and women in the rural setting. You also mentioned about talked about the project, the development of local, that is the indigenous chicken. Your program also has Mike, I'll give you the floor because after this, I think we must go into the group work. Thank you, Mike. Thank you. I forgot the name of the presenter from Cameroon. It was an excellent presentation. As you have seen, we've seen two cases. The case of Morocco, and for Morocco, it's a new reflection, which has enabled them to put in place a new strategy that we can say that there's an interest at the professional organizations by creating the interprofessional organizations. That's very important. And it's something that Morocco would want to try out and develop and to maybe export to other countries, because that's where they have seen how you can act with the other professionals, not just farmers, that you can also have the other professionals, so that you can now transform agriculture and enable marketing. So this is a very important aspect, which is actually a plus to ensure that agricultural products can now move and obtain better prices in the market, and also improve revenue income for farmers. So we have the question of improving the market also. The case also of Cameroon. I thank the colleague from Cameroon, because he was also able to take into consideration actually all the SDGs have been taken into consideration for their strategies, but there are some interconnections between the SDGs and agriculture, and also with our departments, like ministries, like the department in charge of water, etc. So once again, I thank the two speakers for the case of Morocco and the case of Cameroon, and I hope that you are able to retain important information, be able to work now in our groups. And now I'm inviting you to go into two groups. So we have a French speaking group and an English speaking group. So right away, we're going to create these rooms. There's going to be a room for the English speakers and another one for the French speakers. And we're going to deal with the theme of what is the role of farmer organizations in the integration of these SDGs in our strategies by responding to the 6 questions that we give you. The first one, which are the challenges in adopting the SDGs? So every country has known its challenges. And then what are the opportunities for implementing the SDGs? And which are the SDGs that are relevant to agriculture? That's the question number 3. Question number 4, the solution for facilitating adoption of SDGs in agriculture. And to finish, we have the means, the necessary tools to put in place, and also the strategies that farm organizations can adopt in implementing this. So we'll have 30 minutes. I think it's going to be half an hour. And I ask you, in every group, you designate a moderator, the rapporteur, who will give us a Word document, write the ideas from the groups for each question. So you have the ideas that you will want to share with us, and we invite the rapporteur to present the results of your work in the plenary session. Zuberi, are the breakout rooms, have you created them? Can you hear me?
It's all the breakout room.
Yes, yes, the groups are there. And the questions also, please put the questions on the chat. Questions on the chat. That way, every rapporteur can copy them and put them on a Word document so that you can work on that. Is it clear? In SAF, you can put the questions on the chat. What we're supposed to share. Can you hear me? Yes, yes, yes. I can see the rooms. So the questions are.
And so who is the reporter? Who is the rapporteur? So we start with the French group, and so I'm going to share the work that we did. So I'm going to share. And so this is it. I think it is the one. So can you see the screen very well? Yes, Madame Rapporteur, the floor is yours. It is Madame Bila, yes. Madame Bila, the floor is yours so that you can present the group work. So thank you very much. So the French group was able to have discussions in order to answer the different questions that were asked. And so concerning the challenges for adopting SDGs, we came up with 5 challenges. There is one linked to sensitization of actors, especially the farmer organizations, the members, leaders of farmer organizations. There is also the other challenge linked to involving different actors in aspects of SDGs. There's the other one linked to financial and technical resources that are limited for implementation of SDGs. There is also that one that is linked to infrastructure that is inadequate, that is roads, agriculture equipment. There is the other one that is linked to resistance to innovations, especially in agriculture. And so for the second point, which was on opportunities for implementing SDGs, we identified as opportunity the existence of innovations and new technology. There is sustainable investments which are available, which exist. There is also, you can move up the screen. Yes, the slide. And so as opportunities also, we have the improvement of health and the well-being of the person. There's education and training which exists. We also have an aspect linked to social inclusion, circular economy, and management of resources. There is also the existence of green markets, everything that is organic, and also agroecology. And as solutions in order to facilitate adoptions of SDGs in agriculture, we need to strengthen the PPPs and also sensitize the farmer organizations on SDGs. As a means deployed by farmer organizations, we have advocacy, and also strengthening the PPPs, and also strengthen capacity of farm organizations, and also do sensitizations on SDGs. And so for the strategy to be adapted by the farmer organization, we didn't have enough time. We only talked about the public-private partnership, which is also important at that level. And so that is a summary of the group that was done by the French group. Thank you. Yes. Yes, I'm through. And so thank you very much, Madam. I would like to come back to the group. Do you want to add anything else? Or if you do not have anything to add on to the presentation, we can move to the English speaking group. Yes, I think that she has done a good summary. Yes, thank you very much. I'm in agreement with you. And so if you allow, we can now move to the next group, that is the English speaking group, who was the rapporteur of the group, so that you can present, if possible, your Word document, so that you present the results, and especially the elements that you discussed on the questions that were asked. And so the floor is yours. Who was the rapporteur? The floor is yours.
I was the one. I was the rapporteur. And you cannot start screen share while the other participant is sharing. The French group can unshare their presentation. Yes, please.
So stop sharing. Where is it? I think I need to stop sharing so that. So from powerful level, maybe you can stop sharing. I cannot see where to do that. Yes, Madam, the floor is yours now.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, let me proceed. And thank you very much for this opportunity. The English group, we were quite a number, and I didn't put the names of the group members. And the first question was the role of farm organization in implementing SDGs. Number one, to integrate SDGs in the strategic plans and design of projects. Number two, to disseminate the SDGs to the members. Number three, the implementation of SDGs in the day-to-day activities. Then challenges of implementing the SDGs. Funding usually is a problem because to build the capacity and to implement the SDGs, you need resources. Number two, we need to build capacity for farmer organizations because there is a challenge of understanding about climate change and how to go about the implementation. Number three, we find farmer organizations across the different regional bodies. They have competing priorities, and maybe the SDGs may not fall into cross priority in the absence of funding. Number four, the coordination with FAO in different countries is not clear, and there's not enough awareness on how FAO works. Number five is farm organizations have got many programs and many programs that come to farm organizations, like we have CADAP, we have SDGs, we have Agenda 2065 from the African Union, and therefore there is difficulty in prioritizing what to implement. Then regarding the climate crisis, there is also the challenge on climate crisis, economic fluctuation, and conflict, and the cost of pandemic. Then number seven, we have challenges, as mentioned by the representative from Cameroon, of poor road infrastructure and inadequate mechanization and misplaced priorities by the government for the agricultural sector. Then opportunities that are available is that FAO is working with farmer organizations regarding the SDGs in terms of the family farming. There are also opportunities for integrating SDGs in farmer organization strategic plans. Then regarding relevant SDGs, the team agreed majority of the SDGs are very relevant. Only a few are not relevant, such as the ones mentioning of the upgrade of cities and the ones mentioning the education sector. Then for solutions for facilitating SDGs in agriculture and the strategies that can be undertaken, we were not able to do that given the time constraint. Thank you very much. Over to you. Can I stop sharing? Can I stop sharing? Coordinator. Okay.
Non, non, c'est bon, c'est bon. Donc,
Yes, it is okay.
It's okay, ok. Juste, on va mettre les,
And so,
oui, les résumés
so
de des deux groupes.
we are going to give the
Deux
summary
groupes, on va
of
les
the
mettre
two
dans
groups, and so we are going to put them on chat. And so, Mike, maybe you can take the floor in order to do a small summary of the work that has been done in groups before going on with other things. Mike, the floor is yours. Yes, thank you very much for giving me the floor. And so what we have noted is that as challenges for adopting SDGs in Africa, we have several challenges which exist for implementation. And there's training of ag farmers, financial resources, infrastructure that is inadequate, and sometimes we have farmers who resist changes, that is even methods, and so they remain with their traditional agricultural practices. And so we also have opportunities that are important, like international financing, partnerships, public-private partnership, as well as the opportunities of the green market, especially in agroecology. And so for the LDDs that are important, we can retain the SDGs, which are eliminating hunger, sustainable development, and so consumption, production of production that is sustainable. And there is also the issue of climate change that could be managed in a sustainable way. We also have land degradation. And so the solutions that have been proposed, it is important to continue with sensitization of farmers and also on family agriculture. We also train farmers, and also continue with advocacy so that they can have access to adaptive technology, and also continue with advocacy for the improvement of rural infrastructure, policies that are motivating and that help sustainable agricultural practices. And so for the farmer organizations can also play a key role for organizing training, doing advocacy, and also establishing partnership with local and international organizations. And it would also be important for farmer organizations to integrate in their strategic plan these SDGs, and so that the states can also be able to adopt their strategies, and they can also give priority to these SDGs. There is also the issue of harmonizing the priorities, and especially from the national, regional level. And so that is a summary of what we have noted from the group work. And so if there are elements that we need to add, the participants can actually put that in chat so that we can take this into account. Thank you, Nuruddin. So thank you very much, Mike, for the summary. And certainly after we we are going to get the two documents from the French group we have already shared, and also the other one from the English speaking group, so that we can improve the summary. And so we give, yes, so we go to the feedback. I don't know if Julia, you are with us. Do you have anything to share with us so that we can have a questionnaire for feedback of this session? So the link is already on chat. You need to click and fill in the form. So Julia, the floor is yours. Julia, the floor is yours. Julia, you can hear us? Julia? So we already have the form on chat, the form for feedback, so that we can start immediately answering the question as we are waiting for Julia to connect so that he can take the floor to give us more explanation. Mr. Julia, are you with us? I think that he has a connection problem. Anyway, you need to open the link, and so we need how many minutes to fill in? I think that this takes 2 minutes in at a maximum. And so go ahead, fill in the form. So let us know once that is done. So you have not filled in. Yes, I've already filled in the form. And so we have 1 minute left. Insaf, is that fine? Everybody has filled in. So maybe they need to tell us. I do not know if And so I think the 1 minute is done. I think that is okay now. So everybody has filled in their feedback. And so our session is almost, we are almost come to an end. I would like to thank all the participants. You have worked very well in your groups, and I hope that the seminar has been very interesting and you have been able to do an activity for the implementation of the SDGs within the farmer organizations. And so without further ado, I give the floor for the closing of this session to Mr. Drem. Drem is the CEO of PROPAC. The floor is yours, and so we want to thank you for being present with us. So the floor is yours, Mr. Drem. Wait, the floor is yours. Thank you for giving me the floor. I think you have a problem with your network because we cannot hear you well. Yes, we can see you, but we cannot hear you well. Yeah, we cannot hear you very well. So I'm going to speak loudly. So thank you. So I would like to thank all the participants for the contributions they have done, for being And so concerning the SDGs, I have seen the discussions that have been very interesting. And I have one thing to add. The agricultural sector contributes to all SDGs, even from the first one. When we say reducing poverty in agriculture, so agriculture can contribute to reduce, to achieving this, to getting to zero hunger. Oops, his connection is not good. I'm not able to follow him. And so this session has been enriching, especially on SDGs. So I would like to thank each one of you for your passion and for your participation. This is shown by your being active. We have come up with the challenges and opportunities that we have, and it is clear that we need to have sustainable agriculture, and this requires collaboration, innovation, and so the ideas that have been shared here shows us that we need to do a lot so that we are prosperous. So I would like to request you to continue working as farmer organizations in order to achieve, and so that we can transform our ambitions, and so that the SDGs are, oops, his connection is not clear at all. And so PAFO has integrated this exchange platform for the PAFO Academy. So I would like to thank the members of the platform. And so we have a platform. We are able to learn a lot. So this helps the PAFO network. So thank you, each one of you, and we hope to see you soon for activities that help in guiding our future that is sustainable. Thank you, Drem, for the closing ceremony. Madam Insaf, you have the floor. So I would like to thank each and every one of you. Thank you, thank PropBack UMNAGRI for having organized this session that has been enriching. I would also like to thank Mr. Drem for having accepted to come and close this session. It is important to involve the CEOs and the leaders of farmer organization, and as Drem has said, we do an important work, and especially in this platform, and the CEO has made it to become an academy, and it is a powerful academy. And so I would like to thank each and every one of you for your presence, and I would like to kindly request you to start your cameras video so that we can take a photo. So your cameras, please. Yes, we can see you. We can already see you. Hello, Tinashe.
Hello, everyone. How are you doing?
Beatrice, you put on your camera. Yeah, she's very beautiful. Just a minute, so that I can take a second photo. Yes, there we are. Thank you very much, each one of you. It has been a pleasure, and we hope to meet you next time. So thank you and goodbye. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye, Insa.